Good morning, noon, or night, possums. We are Offensive Points here on the IDP Plus Network. Guys, the season's over for fantasy football. We got a lot of ships on our team. I hope you guys got some ships too. Hope we helped you out to get them. It's sad, I'm ready for playoff football, but kind of sad that fantasy's over. I am excited not to have to manage like 26 leagues right now. It took a ton off of my plate, so pretty excited about that. But now we're in dynasty season, and we're going to rank the top teams for NFL draft wide receivers to go to this year. And the categories, drumroll, are badass, good-ish, mid, bad-ish, and P. Daddy, meaning no one's going to hear from him again. They're never going to make an impact on the NFL field, and they might get Epstein. Josh, Billy, what is up?
That was just perfect. No, honestly, it really didn't hit me until today of how like fantasy football's over. Because like the first couple of days, it's whatever. I haven't been picking people up in weeks anyway. So like today, I was like, oh, Thursday, gotta set my lineup, and I was like, oh. Right. And I guess also I was back to work. So like every once in a while, we got to check the lineup midday just to make sure no crazy things happen, especially Thursdays. A lot of drops happen on Wednesdays. Fantasy season's over. But man, I just love fantasy football. We're going to keep talking about it all year anyway. So
yeah, now we're into dynasty season. I've already been getting dynasty questions in my DMs, which continue to send those in, by the way, peeps. I don't mind analyzing trades that I'm not going to make myself. That's my favorite kind of trade, guys. Guys that I'm never going to make that trade myself, but gladly will tell someone else to do that or not to do that. Yeah, it's the favorite part. Glad we're here.
I love trade questions. So much fun to dive into. Actually, I just like making trades. I am back on my addict shit. As soon as the Super Bowl is over, watch your inboxes. You're going to be getting a lot of trade offers.
Looking forward to it, man.
I got to get into this draft. That's my biggest issue. Like in our league that we've had going the longest for Dynasty, I have 0 picks in the first or second round. I got to get in. I got to have some of these guys on my team. I feel like my team is too old, and the amount of people that I had on IR at the end of the season and the kind of, flutter that I did in the playoffs where I just went out in the first round. I need younger guys that are going to be a stick upright the whole season. I think is a lesson learned.
My next pick in that league is a 2027 second rounder. So
woof.
Watch out.
I guess it could be worse. All right. Well, we are here today. We are going to go through each team, as Joe mentioned, and see which team, if a wide receiver was to be drafted there, would it be awesome or would it be P. Daddy, as we named that one? Wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole situation. Because the tier maker list that we're using for the podcast audience just randomized the teams. Why didn't we do alphabetical order, tier maker person? Like, why did they make just random teams at random spots? So we're not going
to be a bitch. So
you would think that we would be going by division or alphabetical order, something like that. Nope, we are going completely random. So the first team that we're going to start with here, because of the tier maker list, is the New Orleans Saints. Guys, right off the top, what do we think about the New Orleans Saints going into 2025?
I feel like the biggest issue here is like I want to put him in goodish, right? But Derek Carr is going to be at the helm again, so like I don't love it. So like,
do we know that for sure?
They can't dump his contract without sacrificing the rest of their life. Basically, it's the issue. I mean, technically they could not start him, but they're going to pay him millions of dollars.
I've got this in mid because Olave and Shaheed are going to be free agents in 26. We got MBS a free agent this year, so they have some decisions to make. Olave's concussion history is worrisome to say the least. You got Shaheed coming off of his knee injury, and I think it's not a bad spot. I think it could be pretty good.
Was going to go goodish, Joe, because also they got to replace a tight end. I don't know how many more years they're going to start, keep doing the same thing they've been doing at tight end. They have to get a wide receiver, and I think even if Olave's there, I think he's better as a number 2. And I think they need to get a number 1. And unless they're not going to get the T. Higgins sweepstakes, they don't have the cash for that. So a wide receiver going here for me, goodish.
I'm down to
Yeah.
bump him up to goodish because that's where my original head was. But I just although honestly, I guess after seeing these other quarterbacks play for this team, Carr was actually not so bad at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, for the first 2 weeks of the season, people were penciling him in for the Super Bowl. I don't know if y'all remember that.
That is true until the Eagles dashed their dreams. Sorry, Rue.
Literally ended their franchise, it feels like, for the next couple of years here, sadly enough. Okay, well, the next random team that we're going to do is going to be the Miami Dolphins. What do we think about that?
Bad-ish.
Yeah, I'm kind of in between baddish and mid right now, if I got to be honest, because like at the same time, I don't think Tyreek's coming back, but at the same time, he is technically there.
Well, he wants a contract. He wants to come back for 2 more years. However, I don't think he probably will come back to the Dolphins.
Well, yeah, and considering
he's under contract through 27, so unless they cut him,
they'd have to trade him.
Well, yeah, I guess that's true.
That's my problem. That's my problem is I feel like he's coming back to Miami next year, and with Tyreek there, I don't see anything better than mid anyway, and they still have Waddle.
The other problem is Jonnu's on the team next year as well, which is a great signing by them. But
yeah,
I mean, I think between
4 on the year, wild.
Yeah, between Jonnu and A-Chain, I don't think there's any room for anybody for a while. I mean, Waddle's till 2029, so I don't know.
Do think there is a chance though that we're putting this in baddish now. If they were for some reason they need defense, so please God, don't do this to yourself, Mike. What's his name? I keep saying McDonald.
McDaniel had a farm. Yeah,
McDaniel. No, Mike McDaniel. Please do not do this to yourself. Please go get defense for this poor team. That is desperately what they need. I just feel like they're gonna go. They might go wide receiver.
The offense is perfectly acceptable. It's not. That's not the issue. I mean, could they have a better quarterback who doesn't have concussion issues? Yeah, and maybe someone who'd be a little bit better than Tua. Absolutely, sure. Maybe an offensive lineman to boost up that line. Running back's amazing. Wide receivers shouldn't have an issue, but they do clearly. I still think baddish no matter what, unless Hill's gone, and then in which case, I still don't want anyone to be drafted to this team. Like hopefuls, I'd say mid at best.
Not nearly as exciting as they were.
Yeah,
it's just like who would trade for him? It's just don't know. I mean, with Tua, this offense doesn't look too bad. I mean, it looked pretty bad even when he was there. So I don't know.
Chance to make the playoffs right now, which is wild.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen either. All right, team number 3, Baltimore Ravens. I'm going baddish.
Doesn't matter baddish as well.
Ooh, I was going
to go mid. If you get a wide receiver.
I was going to go mid because they seem to be able to. Let's say they seem to be able to churn out wide receivers if given the right talent level, and Zay Flowers is that talent level. I mean, Nelson Aguilar's out here making a name for himself on this team. I think with an actual good number 2. I mean, Bateman was obviously not it. I mean, he's had his days here and there, but with an actual number 1 or number 2, I don't really count Zay Flowers as a clear cut number 1 because Lamar's so random, but if you gave them another Zay Flowers, those 2 guys, Zay and whoever comes in, I think actually turns out a pretty good performance. 800 yard season, which I think would be mid.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I just think Lamar and Todd Monken are perfectly fine spreading the ball around, and you got Likely and Andrews there. I mean,
yeah,
I agree.
I like what you're saying.
Run team.
I think it's
a run team.
Yeah,
run team that they're going to have wide receivers every now and then, but it's not.
I think the right wide receiver on this team could make it goodish even. So that's why I was leaning mid, just because most likely they're not reaching for a big wide receiver.
Well, they brought in Deontay Johnson. We thought, okay, well that would make sense. He might be good out there. He never saw the field, clearly. So even though he's maybe their problem child, maybe we'll see. He's with Houston now. See what happens there. I don't know. I'm going to go baddish until they prove otherwise. I know Zay Flowers had a good year this year, but just in general, it feels like that doesn't feel like he had doesn't feel like he had a great
whenever
year.
There's a rookie wide receiver that goes to Baltimore, don't feel like you can't draft him because Joe and Billy are bullies.
Well, we'll have to see who it is. This wide receiver class is kind of weird anyway. So we'll just have to see who it is. All right, next team is a team with a bit of a caveat: the Cincinnati Bengals. Guys, are we going to pretend T. Higgins is going to be here or not?
I feel like there's no way, and this is just my own brain, no way that they don't sign T. Higgins after a 10 touchdown season, right? Like, I mean, it's hard for them not to. Burrow's already said he'd take a pay cut. Chase wants him there. It's not like he's a bane to the locker room, boom to the locker room, whichever way is a bad way. I think this is P. Diddy. This is our first P. Diddy with Higgins there, obviously.
I'm going to disagree with you there. I think it's mid because I don't think there's any way they're going to be able to pay Higgins what he wants. There are a lot of really rich cap space teams that are going to make a move on T. Higgins after what he showed. You have Yoshi there, which is why it's not higher for me. And, we saw Gesicki do really well too. Any wide receiver drafted that's tied to Joe Burrow, I would rate mid at least.
Okay, well, let's just split the difference. Let's put it in baddish because I think that there's an obvious, if there's no T. Higgins there, it's definitely mid to good. If there is a T. Higgins there, the other third wide receiver is dead on arrival. It's P. Diddy. So, I think we just put it in baddish, and then just one of those two things is going to happen. Right? Yeah. So, just the way the Bengals shook out this year. All right, next team on the list is Bombers Denver Broncos with new quarterback. Okay, Josh immediately putting it in badass. Josh, why do you think this is a badass spot with Bo Nix?
It's not only because I'm in charge of this, but I'm leaving it at badass because
Really?
Sutton, 100%. I mean, I'll listen to you guys because I'm not a complete asshole, but it's 100% badass. Troy Franklin hasn't been it. Veli's shown a couple hit and miss here. Mims, I'd love to see it be the guy, but Cortland Sutton was the guy for him. And honestly, I feel like anyone could have ran Cortland Sutton's routes. He just got peppered with targets. Nothing Cortland Sutton did was like, oh my God, how amazing did that guy do? Now you put a player on this team that is a top 5, wide receiver off the board this year. I think that this could be amazing. And I just don't think any wide receiver drafted here within the first 3 rounds doesn't immediately have a chance to play.
Okay, Joe, what is Cortland Sutton's contract situation?
I think he's through 27 right now.
Okay, you're the
contract
guru. I know you're the contract guru. Yeah, I guess so. I guess you're right about all of that. If a wide receiver goes here, they're immediately getting on the field, and you can't really see them leaving the draft without a wide receiver. They're probably going to pick up a free agent, someone who's just bounced around a little bit. But I'd still see whoever they take rookie, given if it's like the first 3 rounds, maybe 4th round. Because I still think Vele is going to get a chance first before the rookie, unless they draft one in the 2nd round, and then that person's starting.
Yeah, Sutton has 1 more year left on his contract.
It's a badass spot.
Maybe it's not badass this year, but we're talking dynasty, so badass in the future. And if they actually go out and sign one that's not a 5th round guy, and even a 5th round guy could make the play for it, I just haven't seen anything from anyone. Like Troy Franklin showed nothing. Mims has shown promise as a hit and miss guy, and especially in this last game, week 16, that was amazing. But like other than that, we haven't seen it.
No, I'm glad you said badass because I love it. It's a badass spot.
And being paired with a guy who's going to fling that ball around.
Yeah, you got Bo Nix, Sean Payton, Joe Lombardi there. Their defense is solid. They don't need anybody on defense. So why not get a wide receiver to tie with Bo Nix for 5 or 6 years?
Yeah, I'm interested. Like, I think if I'm drafting a wide receiver, like in fantasy drafting, like redraft wise, I might be a little low on him. But in dynasty wise, I think it's probably a really smart pick.
You're looking for the
very
future.
Badass spot. Yeah, because I mean, they're going to be pop weeks, and especially when you have like a bench of 25 guys. I mean, you're probably going to take whoever they pick here. But yeah, no, I think badass is right. I don't know. At first I was like, I don't know about that. But actually now that we talked about it, I think you're all right. All right, on to the next team. It's the New York Giants. I'm going to go mid. Going to be going to be completely honest here.
I had him at goodish because, I mean, we don't like the Giants offense. Neighbors is your one. I know Wandale's there, but if they invest in a wide receiver, that's going to show that they want to get them involved pretty frequently. I mean, we saw Malik Neighbors cannot take 12, 13 targets a game. He was just getting destroyed out there. Now, if they were good targets, maybe, but I think it's a solid landing spot.
So,
Okay.
I'm actually going to go with Baddish here, and
Really? Okay.
The thing is you're going to have a rookie quarterback, and what is that rookie quarterback going to do? He's going to come in and feature neighbors hard. So, I mean, maybe for the future, I could bump up to mid, but I'm really more.
But what if they don't? What if they don't do like? What if they do like Sam Darnold for a year and then draft? Because they're not in the top spot anymore, so they could potentially not even get Cam Ward at this point. What if they did that? Would that make you feel differently?
Not really. There's still a lot of mouths to feed on this team. You got Wandale. I know Slayton's technically gone after this year, but I could see them making a 1-2 year deal for Slayton. He just seems like a New York Giant for life. And then you got Hyatt sitting in the wings. So I just don't see them investing capital in a wide receiver, especially having one of the best young receivers. So I just feel like whatever receiver goes here isn't going to be like one of the best anyway. So I feel like that's why I'm leaning Baddish. But if they did reach and get a big name wide receiver, like, then yeah, I mean, it could be mid, maybe even goodish.
I mean, I think they're probably going to go center and then maybe defensive back, or defensive back then center, or not center, O-line. Like O-line and then go for a defensive back probably first 2 rounds, and then we're talking about a 3rd round player at this point that probably isn't going to start over Slayton, or maybe even they give Hyatt a chance. Yeah, I guess. I don't know, mid or baddish? Joe said goodish. I said mid. You said baddish.
I feel like mid's right.
Go mid.
Yeah, because there is a chance that they go Sam Darnold and aren't able to get one of the top quarterbacks, and then that could be good. They still have to figure out the O-line.
I feel like they're making a trade up for one of them quarterbacks for sure.
Okay. Didn't look like it last week.
Yeah, the way that they won that game. I can't believe they're going to let Drew Lock be the reason they don't have the number 1 pick in the draft. It's shocking to see. But whatever. I guess they tried. All right, on to Minnesota. I think this is our first P. Daddy. Because even the 3rd wide receiver on this team, Jalen Naylor's been pretty good, guys. Like, I don't see them going away from him based on what he's done this year. For fantasy, he's probably not really that usable unless it's Dynasty. But overall, this is a pretty good receiving core, and I think Hawkinson's going to come back with a vengeance next season. So, I don't know. I think this is P. Diddy as far as
100%. I don't think there was any. Justin Jefferson and Addison's shown who he is as well, and with Jefferson alone. So yeah, no. And if Sam Darnold can do it with these two, even if Sam Darnold doesn't come back, they're good.
If Darnold doesn't come back, they're even more P. Diddy.
Yeah, why?
Yeah, the 3rd one definitely.
I would have already. I don't know if they can negotiate a contract right now. I would already be having Sam Darnold back. Like, what are you guys doing? You wouldn't even do this with Kirk Cousins.
They got to get the number 1 seed before they actually give it to him.
I know. Watch Sam Darnold.
If he blows out his knee,
Tua money or something. Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
Then you got 2 bad knee quarterbacks.
Well, shit. Then actually, if I was Sam Darnold, I'd be trying to get this contract done as soon as possible. But whatever. All right, that's our first P. Daddy. Wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. On to the LA Rams, guys. Other than Puka Nacua, is there anybody on this team scaring you away from a wide receiver going here? Cooper Kupp's probably at the end, right? I mean, honestly,
the Stafford situation. So McVay and team have done a phenomenal job drafting wide receivers. So I had him at good because of the Kupp situation. Stafford situation scares me. But these guys know how to identify good wide receivers. I mean, they didn't have a 1st-round pick for like 8 years now, and they've made their team very competitive. So I would say goodish.
Okay.
I was leaning baddish, but I was originally thinking P. Diddy, but you're right. Kupp's at the end of the rope. I'm thinking mid for Rams because of all the things that you said. They are good at identifying wide receivers, and they can find a late one that could fit this team perfectly. But we don't know who the quarterback's going to be in the future. I mean, is it Stinson Bennett? I don't know. It might be.
Garoppolo right now, but that doesn't mean anything. Do you guys think there's a chance they may trade up for the number 1 pick in the draft? If it's the Patriots?
The Rams?
Shocker.
I mean, they trade picks like it's going out of style. I mean, they have a really good young defense. I mean, you could argue that this team is a quarterback away. I mean, Stafford's been good, but I don't know. I still think it's mostly Kyron at this point in Puka.
I still think even in that case, I still think I'm leaning mid. I don't think I can go any higher than mid, personally.
Okay.
Yeah. What would they even have to offer with this draft?
I don't even know.
Like
I don't.
Three firsts.
Yeah, probably.
Which they've done it before, they'll do it again.
If they're trading down that far, it's like if the Patriots are. First of all, there would be a riot in New England, but yeah, they would probably have to get a player back even. Yeah, I think we have to go mid. I do like Demarcus Robinson, and Jordan Whittington has actually shown a little bit this year. I wouldn't say it's like sustainable, but it's interesting. If there was an injury, I definitely wouldn't mind him as a fill-in, but yeah, I think that
I think personally, I'm still leaning towards the bad-ish, but I don't think I can go higher than mid, just because
that's fine. We will.
They do have a good core as it is. I mean, they're not great, but
that's true. All right, on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm P. Diddy or baddish, but what do you guys think?
I'm on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. I'm leaning
really
badass or goodish. We got Baker Mayfield, who is very comfortable with slinging the rock. We got Godwin out, in my opinion. I mean,
yeah.
Other than the fact of
Jalen McMillan now.
Yeah, I don't see that as a Godwin 1-for-1 there. You know what I mean?
It was 100%. That's exactly what he was. He was a 1-for-1.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't. I'm thinking badass personally, but apparently we're not on the same page here.
Joe, what do you think? Did we watch the same Jalen McMillan who won people championships down the stretch? That's what happened to me.
Yeah, so this is funny. I have him as a mid, and the reason being is because this year, nothing. I mean, McMillan's there, but you got Evans, a free agent next year. I can't believe they would bring him back, even if he wanted to play. I don't maybe. I don't know. And then, I mean, Godwin could resign. It's a good spot. I mean, whoever goes there could have a chance, especially with the ages of the guys above him. So,
Jalen McMillan's catching touchdowns, but 5 for 75 ain't doing it for me. 5 for 50.
5 for 75 is like Chris Godwin stat line. I mean, that is a classic Godwin stat line there.
Chris Godwin knew how to get to 100 yards. I haven't seen it from this week yet.
Sometimes. He didn't last year when everybody was on the freak out about Chris Godwin train. But let's be honest, the defense is the problem with this team. They're going to be loading up on defense in the draft. I would see them more going after like a free agent, like Marquez Valdez-Scantling or something to put here, personally. So, right, I don't know. I don't know what you guys think.
I think where's Joe at? Joe, I guess
I'm mid.
Joe said mid.
If Liam Cohen's gone, probably bad. But
they cannot lose another offensive coordinator. I swear to God. Pay him whatever he wants, Tampa. Make him take one more year. All right, next team is the Detroit Lions.
P. Daddy.
No, there's too many mouths to feed already. The fact that they even got to be able to feed Jameson at this point, and then you got Laporta, you got the two running backs. Tim Patrick's been fine, but that's the best you're getting if you get a wide receiver on this team, unless there's an injury, of course.
And they have Allen Robinson. Lee Freeman.
That's not it.
I feel like whoever gets drafted here is going to be somebody in the future. Like, eventually might be good. Like a 4th or 5th rounder, but I think, for this season.
It's wild that JMO is going to be a free agent in 26. I feel like
I know.
I mean, they can pick up his option, which I imagine they do, but
I mean, if he keeps playing like this, he's getting signed again.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this is the JMO we always wanted to see. So
I'm happy to see it too.
Yeah.
Talking about winning people championships. JMO's the guy that you think McMillan is.
I guess bad-ish. No, I just watched what McMillan did. He was a hero in the fantasy playoffs.
P. Daddy.
Yeah,
I think it's dead. I mean, next year, I think when we're doing this again, we'll probably have a different say.
I just don't see it. You got Amon-Ra, Laporta, JMO. Unless JMO leaves next year, that's the only way I'm like, maybe he'll be a fill-in. But
yeah. All right. Well, next team is Joe's Bears. Joe, would a wide receiver fix this team?
Probably not. No. I have this as a bad-ish landing spot. We got to see what Keenan Allen does. But
Keenan
I
Allen's
said what
signed
I
for 2
said. I
years,
think
right?
well, Keenan's a free agent this year, so
Oh, is he? Oh, he only did a 1 year.
or coming
Got
in.
it.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. But I think DJ Moore and Rome are year 1 and 2, and I think they're going to focus elsewhere. So maybe see if Keenan will come back cheap or sign a veteran. But I can't imagine a rookie coming in and getting much, even though Caleb throws the ball 40 times a game. But
I just don't see them going after a rookie wide receiver until way later as just like a kick returner type person.
Yeah. They have the needs on this team are not at wide receiver, as we found out this season. I think running back, when we do the running back tiers, I think they might be a little higher, but yeah, probably just baddish for wide receiver right now.
Yeah, I think so too. Rome, they got enough to build on with Rome and DJ Moore.
Now, if they get a burner to complement those other two guys, they could have a good season. That's why I had them at baddish instead of dead. But
no, I was just messing with you with deadish because the team's deadish.
Oh, the team is deadish. Absolutely.
Yeah, team super deadish. All right, next team, San Francisco 49ers. They brought in a wide receiver last year, first round. Don't know necessarily that has meant a lot, even though he did have a good game last game. They got Juwan Jennings, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk may come back at some point in the middle of the season. Does anything interest you about this team?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. This is a mid. I can't imagine Debo's back. Kittle's got 1 year left on his contract, and Ayuk's coming off of a major knee injury. Plus, Juwan Jennings is a free agent, so they have major wide receiver decisions to make in this offseason. I doubt they're able to retain all these guys. So get a rookie in there. I like Pearsall. He looked really good. I might have been wrong about saying Juwan Jennings was going to be better than Pearsall long term, but no, I think this is a mid landing spot with a chance that they could be really good.
They have every wide receiver next year. Debo's back
next
for
year.
Another year. Yeah, Debo's back for another year. Ayuk they signed to a long term. Pearsall just went off in week 17. This is dead, man. It's P Daddy.
So I think it's dead for a different reason. I am done trusting Kyle Shanahan. I'm just done with it. I can't trust this guy, and I never will. I don't think I'm ever going to draft a San Francisco 49er again. After this McCaffrey debacle this year, no way. There's no way that I'm going to trust this dude. Even if they could draft a wide receiver top 5 in the draft. No, I don't want that person on my team because Kyle Shanahan is up to his shenanigans, and I'm not part of it. So I think P. Diddy too, because even if they get Ted McMillan or Luther Burden on this team, probably not going to see him for 3 years. So I'm good. I'm good. P. Diddy for me just because of the team.
Just a fun fact: we haven't done a fireball bet in a while, or at least I haven't. I will bet you that Pearsall ends up higher in fantasy than Jalen McMillan next year.
Pearsall ends up higher than Jalen McMillan next year. I'll take that bet. Yeah.
Yeah. Pearsall, feel like just getting started at the moment and only going to get better.
I have my pen. Dang it. Okay. Well, whatever. All right. Let's get on to the next team because Josh is going to yap for 45 minutes so I can finally write this down. The Eagles are the next team on the board.
It's baddish, and you can't convince me otherwise. There's no such thing as a wide receiver 3 on this team. That's it.
What if they had one? I mean, I'm not arguing, but what if they had one?
I would love to see it from Dotson, from Julio Jones last year, from Zacchaeus, who was literally on our team, who's having a great season this year. Who else has made it? Paris Campbell. He was apparently still fine, but we just didn't use him. We have 2 rookie wide receivers who we refuse to use. Johnny Wilson, who's basically a tight end, and Anais Smith, who has just not even seen the field. So I just don't think that there is room for a wide receiver 3, especially when we still have Goddard and Calcaterra. There's a good tight end, there's a good running back, and there's 2 good wide receivers. That's the makings of, the Lions are obviously making it work with 5 people, but that's 2 running backs. It's 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 2 running backs. You don't really see the 3 wide receiver thing as like fantasy usable, at least on a lot of teams.
So then they're P. Diddy.
I'd say baddish because there's always the chance for.
Well, the reason I think it's baddish is because if one of these guys was to get hurt, Smith or Brown, I hate everyone behind them. Like to step up and be that number 2 or number 1 potentially.
Well, they
I
haven't
don't
done
like
it
any
all
of them.
year.
Oh, I know, and I feel like they've got to get somebody at some point. They don't have to take him high. It doesn't have to be a first or second rounder. It could be third rounder, but somebody that you could trust, somebody that maybe could develop into that guy. I just feel like they haven't done it, so we haven't seen it. But I
No,
think
the only
now's the
wide
time.
receiver we've drafted highly and it's actually worked out is Devontae Smith. And honestly,
Yeah.
by all God's grace, I have no idea how it happened.
Yeah, no, it's true.
You took AJ Brown with the first.
So. That we did, but a couple years after he was already playing.
That's true. Man, the Titans. Oh, we'll get to them. All right, the next team on this list is the Las Vegas Raiders.
Item is badass. Yeah.
Okay.
Item is badass. Jacoby Myers is fine. I mean, he's not a number 1. Brock Bowers is filling that number 1 role, but if you bring a really good wide receiver into this offense, I think they're going to get a ton of looks right away, and I'm for it.
Agree. What I see from this team is 2-3 years ago, San Francisco 49ers, where it was Kittle and Debo, and those were the only 2 players on the team that got anything. Bowers and whatever wide receiver they bring in here, assuming it's a high pick. I don't know if they go. What's Shitter's running mate? The quarterback wide receiver, Hunter. If they go Travis Hunter, I think that no matter who the quarterback is, they're going to do it. I imagine they're probably going to end up with Shitter or one of the QBs, but
probably. So here's what I want to pitch to you guys about this team. I think we're going to have the hand tipped in March during free agency because they're the rare team that needs not only a wide receiver, but they also need a running back. One of those 2 things they're going to fill. Well, they need a quarterback, but I assume they're going to do that with the draft, like first round. So they either need a running back or a wide receiver in the draft. They could do both. It's a little riskier to do it that way, but I think they're going to tip their hand come free agent time to what they're going to do in the draft. Because if they take a wide receiver in free agency to fill that spot next to Jacoby Myers, probably means they're going running back first. Whereas if they do the opposite, if they take a running back in free agency, that definitely means they're taking a wide receiver high, and that player is probably going to get a ton of targets from Shedeur.
All right,
a Shedeur amount of targets.
Let's pump the brakes just for a second. What if they went with the piece that is going to change everything in the future? That's Travis Hunter, and don't go quarterback. Let's say Hunter.
Well, so now we have the issue of what do we do at quarterback for them, because the draft is a lonely and barren wasteland after the top 2. At least for the
I think they
near
just
future.
know at that point that their franchise quarterback's coming in the next year, so you can sign a 1-year deal with whatever you can find.
I'm trying to think who that would be, though.
I don't love it.
I think you just ride O'Connell and see if he can do anything.
That is punting on the season, and you know that.
Well, that's what they want to do if they're going to get a quarterback.
Well, that's not what the coach and the players want to do. I mean, I get that the front office, which I still don't think they want to do that because they have an old owner who probably wants to win closer to now than not win closer to now.
I get it, and the rookie quarterback makes way more sense. But I'm just thinking, what if you go for the dude instead of a dude? Can't say there's a dude, but
no, I get it. I guess
anyway,
again, this is all going to depend on the draft after this week.
Either way, the wide receiver situation is badass here. I mean, they need it.
It is
more than likely getting a rookie quarterback. So
we have I really thought this was going to be T. Higgins until now. I think the Bengals are going to get him back, but I thought this would be a perfect spot for him to end up.
T. Higgins is a Patriot. Just count it.
Yeah, well, one of those 2. Patriots have the most money, so that would have been perfect too. But the Raiders also could have done it. So either one of those is interesting. All right, next team to talk about is the Green Bay Packers. I know how I'm feeling, but I'd love to hear what you guys think.
So I'm going to say baddish, but I'm going to preface it by saying that Dubs, Watson, and Wicks are free agents in 2026. So although it is a barren wasteland for anyone to get targets and Jordan Love just does not throw the football, there is an opportunity that a rookie could not necessarily do anything this year, but come in next year. So that's the only reason they're not P. Diddy.
Okay.
Josh? I was leaning P. Diddy just because of the overall game that Jordan Love's playing. He's throwing to everyone. There is no favorite.
I felt the same way. P. Diddy as well. I don't think there is ever going to be a 1 on this team. And I think for fantasy, especially going into the next year, I can't wait to see when we start doing rankings. But I don't know how you could put any of these guys high just because week in and week out, you never know. I mean, Dubs was the number 8 wide receiver at one point in the season and then barely did anything after that. Like, it's kind of insane to see it that way.
The
But there was
consistency is so off.
Yeah, there was weeks where he got 0 targets, 0 catches. That's not a 1. So no,
Even Reed, who is the number 1, if by all things considered, big games, game 1, and just had a dud like every other game this season. So
yeah. Christian Watson's boomer bust, as we've said time and time again, and he'll get hurt. That's always, every play is either a touchdown or he's out for 4 weeks. It's nothing in between from him. And then Dubs probably is the most consistent guy, but he doesn't get enough targets to do anything. So yeah, I'm going to go Deddy here because they're going to add a wide receiver, but I just don't like him. All right, on to the Commanders, which is an interesting spot. I would go Goodish, but what are we thinking?
Badass.
So
They're about to lose everybody outside of McLaurin. And
McLaurin's the only one's going to stay.
Even if by some measure they re-sign all of those guys, whoever comes in is going to be better than them. So
I was going to say, none of them are even B-lists at that point. I'm leaning badass just because Jaden's going to have to become more of a pocket passer throughout the time. But I feel like Goodish is actually the play because I feel like Terry's the number 1. And what they're going to get with their 25th pick or whatever they're going to have, they're not getting the elite of elite. They're getting a wide receiver 2, which is fine. But, wide receiver 2 coming in is probably going to go for 600 yards, 700 yards, maybe a couple big plays here and there. But, like, consistency factor, it's hard for me to be like, this is going to be badass. If that makes any sense.
Okay. I think they go with a guy like Hopkins in free agency, and then they draft a wide receiver if I had to guess what they were going to do. But it's badass if they don't do that.
What do we think?
So it's probably badass. I'm just guessing.
All right, we're going badass then. That's fine.
Okay. No, that's fine.
It fits with Jaden. I mean, you look what we got up here. 3 rookie quarterbacks, more than likely, with the Raiders, Broncos, and Commanders. So.
All right, next team on the list, Arizona Cardinals. Last year, they were badass. This year, I'd probably go mid, to be completely honest with you. Kyler is a tough one to trust.
Yeah, I don't think it's that. I don't see them targeting a wide receiver. So we're talking late rounds. And even if they do, it's like, is he really going to be able – he can't get it to Harrison. He can barely get it to McBride in the end zone at least. I think McBride's the number 1 on this team, and Marvin Harrison's the number 2. It's like – we're going to pop a 3rd in there for a guy who can't throw the ball?
My logical brain is mid, but, I mean, you just drafted one of the best wide receivers to come out in a long time, and you can't use him at all. So I would.
People are calling him a bust, and I'm like, well, wait a minute here. Not him. I like Kyler as much as the next person, but it's not his fault.
It's not him.
Not Marvin Harrison's fault. I mean, that this is happening to him. So,
jeez.
So we can go mid.
Yeah, probably mid.
Blah.
Sucks because if they had even a slightly better quarterback, I think that they would be probably goodish to badass. But I don't see with them locked into Kyler like this. Plus, they need other things on this team. They probably don't need to worry about wide receiver right now. All right, this is a confusing one. On to the Steelers of Pittsburgh. I don't know what to put. I really don't.
I think it's goodish because there is nobody else, but it can't be badass because it's either Fields or us. I mean, that's.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with goodish here, and I think that's where it sticks because they need it so badly, and I'd love to put them in badass, but they clearly can barely get it to Pickens on time. So maybe that's because he's the only guy out there. I don't know, but. Their pass game needs work, and they're going to go after it. And he's going to be one of the top guys, I imagine. They're looking like a wide receiver first-round team.
I just don't know what they do because, I mean, I would think that too. When's the last time they took a wide receiver in the first round? I can't even think about it.
Chase Claypool?
Like, it's been...
He got traded for a first-rounder to the Bears.
He was Joe's Bears pick.
Got traded for a second
round.
It was
And
the
then Pickens was second
132. I
round.
don't care if it was the 2-1. It was the 132. It was the
Well,
first
okay,
round
fair
pick.
enough. Technically second round, but yeah, he was. So I don't know. I don't like this team. And then Arthur Smith's there too, which just further complicates things. Even if they do get a first round wide receiver. Even if they did get one, it's going to be like Ben Skoranek, George Pickens, and Scotty Miller.
Westbrook Akina is going to the Steelers.
I would not shock me in the least. Him and Valdez Scantling both go there just to finish it out.
I feel like we can't go lower than goodish, right? We're pretty goodish with that answer.
It's all for the potential there.
We should have put one that was just question mark, one row question mark, and it's just the Steelers.
Five. It's just down low underneath this.
It's just the Steelers. It's the only one. It's just question mark. All right, on to the Buffalo Bills, who last year would have been badass. They took a wide receiver, they brought one in, and I still think they might be badass. As weird as that is to say, I don't know.
I mean, they can't re-sign Cooper.
No, I don't think they're going to.
So I feel like the thing is Keon Coleman's had such a weird year this year. It's hard for me to say badass because like it hasn't worked for their rookie, and he's going to obviously be there next year.
We had question marks about Coleman anyway, though. Like even when we all were talking about the draft, we were like, man, I don't know if Coleman's going to be that guy. He's probably going to go in the first round, probably not going to do well, and went in the second round.
I just don't see them spending high on wide receivers, but like I feel like it should be goodish just because he's partnered with Josh Allen.
I'd say goodish.
This would be a fun Luther Burden team, by the way, if they somehow.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
I don't know how he would get there because I don't think he'll fall that far.
We need locked in like the top 7.
Yeah.
Do we need another yards after the catch guy? Buffalo.
Dude, Mac Hollins has been pretty good for this team.
Oh, Mac Hollins has been sick.
Fantasy
he's a free agent
not,
too.
But in real life, he's been good.
Any receiver that goes to this team is.
By the way, Mac Hollins, another Steelers wide receiver next year.
Oh yeah.
All right, on to the Atlanta Falcons. They got Drake London. They have Pitts, the legend.
It's going next to a bird team. I just don't know where.
I think it's going in mid for me, but I don't know. Penix is hard to trust right now.
Mooney's there next year, and also they get Rondale Moore back as well. I don't know what that means for this team, but they lost him in the preseason. Drake London's coming into his own. Pitts actually looks fine with Penix, other than the one where he gave the ball away. I just feel like there's just too many mouths to feed already. And Bijan and Algier, I assume Algier's there this next year. It's just, and then Cordero.
I just think somebody's going to take that Ray McLeod spot because I don't think Ray McLeod's going to be the wide receiver 3 there. And he's been decent.
He's been fine, but like,
wasn't that why they signed Rondale? Isn't that what they wanted?
Rondale was supposed to.
I guess that's true. That's true.
And Rondale Moore was one of those. I feel like that's one of those guys that go target in the offseason, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. That's an excellent target. I'm writing it down.
Yeah, 400 receivers first 3 years. I gotta go with Badish here. I just don't think anyone's taken over the top 1 or 2 slot. So it's like you're talking about wide receiver 3 at best on a team that's we're gonna figure out what it is with Penix.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Badish it is. All right, on to the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going P. Diddy, but I would be willing to listen to Badish.
I was originally thinking mid, but honestly, I don't know. Metcalf's there. What's Lockett's contract? It's got to be ending soon, right?
Lockett and DK are 26.
This is JSN's team now.
Never mind. It's dead. And JSN is the number 1. Yeah. Now he's got one more year, and they can't even burn him because he's cap hits through $30 million. Yeah, it's P. Diddy for me, Doug. Their wide receivers are who their wide receivers are.
They'll probably take one.
They probably will.
But, I mean, it won't.
But it'll be Jake Bobo.
Yeah, Bobo's there, dude.
The Bobo show.
Yeah, no, they were actually fully. All their wide receivers were pretty healthy this year, too. I think Metcalf missed a game or 2.
I mean, if Geno Smith was like a B+ instead of a B-, they would be really good. It'd be a really good football team.
They just throw the ball so damn much under Grubb, so it's like I kind of want to stay Badish, but let's go P. Diddy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You know what team
This is
this
one I'm
would
gonna
be?
have to
This would be
see.
great for a tight end. And I saw there's a couple early tight ends out there. I don't know if the Seahawks are one of those kind of.
They got
people to go
Barner,
for.
bro. They're gonna bring it. The barn.
Yeah,
It's gonna be the barn
I
dog
like
show.
Barner. I like Barner,
But we'll see. They could bring in a tight end. I don't know. This is a good team. They just are missing a B+ quarterback.
Yeah.
All right. On to the Patriots. I think we're going badass because of
Yes.
the depletedness of it all, but
The depletedness, the Drake Mayness, the awesomeness. Yes, badass.
Drake looks great.
are we sure Drake May is good at football?
Yeah.
Not at all. No,
Okay.
I'm not.
I've seen a lot of people that are just like for sure that Drake May is good. What they've seen from him this year means that he is for sure the guy going forward. I've seen him scramble too. It looks fun. I mean, Tim
I feel like the
Tebow did that
scrambles
too.
are the
Sometimes
first things to go for this guy, though. He's too big to be throwing his weight around
well,
like
he's
that.
going to get popped a couple of times, and that's going to be the end of that. And I just throwing wise, like I think there's a reason they don't have a number one wide receiver right now. We're blaming the wide receivers, but what if it's actually not that way? What if they bring a wide receiver in and it still looks bad? Are we going to be blaming that guy again?
There's clearly no wide receiver one on this team, and that's not Drake May's fault. But there is at least 2B guys on the team that could be a wide receiver 2 in any league whatsoever or on any team.
Well, Douglas is probably safe bet drafting next year, but in Kayshon Boutte, maybe.
Boutte,
but
I mean, some of these teams they cut KJ Osborne because they had too many mid guys, and I mean,
T Higgins.
Well, and that's the thing looming over.
He's going to be
this is if they get T Higgins. I don't know
honestly,
what that does
though,
for the number one guy.
I still think they draft another one just to.
For sure, especially if it's Travis Hunter's there. I think that's their pick. By the way,
hypothetically, they get Higgins and Hunter, Drake May to the absolute moon.
100%. I mean,
yeah. Can you imagine a quarterback room of Christian Gonzalez and Travis Hunter? That'd be insane. I would love that. And then just have Hunter on a couple of plays and on offense. Like, that'd be nasty. I just need to see it from Drake May. I think people are like lockdown sold. And again, fantasy wise, he has been good. It's not saying that. I'm just saying in real life football, I don't know.
He looks like a good rookie. That's exactly what he looks like.
Yeah. I mean,
I think Bo Nix looks like a good rookie. I think that is
Bo Nix has a
good rookie.
Lockdown defense. And
yeah, he was set up for success and some wide receivers.
Yeah, so, I think he's fit in quite well. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, there's a reason Denver wasn't very good last year. So
can we go back to that question mark tier that we haven't gotten to? Because that's where I want to put the Browns.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Next team is the Cleveland Browns. I don't know what to do with this team because the quarterback situation is just probably one of the worst in the NFL. By the way, last year they had 4 quarterbacks on the team. This year they're going to be using their 5th starting quarterback. So it's only gotten worse since last season, and they still don't want to make admit that was a mistake.
Well, the weirdest thing is Jerry Jeudy actually was great on this team. So was Cedric Tillman. And now, I mean, even Elijah Moore had his days, but like clearly they got rid of Cooper. Clearly they need another wide receiver. So like they're going to draft one, but like I can't tell you in all good faith that you should draft him for your fantasy team either.
I don't know. I'm concerned that Tillman's 6-week concussion is really hurting any stock that he made with the good performance.
I'm not saying
okay. I hear you about that, and I thought about that too. What if this is just we're out of the playoffs, we're not going to win anything, I'm just going to sit out the rest of the season and just call it a concussion this whole time? What if it's that?
I'd be fine with that, and I think that Tillman will be a good buy low this offseason too.
I agree with that 100%.
But I mean, Elijah Moore being a free agent, do they bring him back? I just like you're right with the quarterback situation. I would say mid because that's the question mark tier.
Yeah, probably mid because mid's the question mark tier. Yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah, I'm good with mid at best. I can't go goodish because I don't want anyone on this team.
No, it's definitely not goodish. I don't know what they do to fix this team. To be honest with you, I really don't. Because they gave away Amari Cooper. Like, seemed like that would have been a good guy to have on this team for a couple more years, at least to ride it out. But they didn't want to do that either, so I don't know.
It wasn't working with Deshaun. Him and Deshaun did not get along.
Yeah, I think that's the story of Deshaun in Cleveland there. All right, next team on this list is a sad one to put on here, but it's the Houston Texans, and I actually think this is going to be badass, guys. I don't think we see Tank Dell next year, and I don't know if they bring Diggs back.
Yeah, I was going to put it at goodish, but I assume Tank Dell comes back at some point next year, but I mean, that doesn't mean that this rookie can't potentially go out and break out and make a role for himself.
I have it at goodish, but it would not shock me if they bring Diggs back and try to run it back.
If they bring Diggs back, then it's goodish. But I'm just like, if they don't bring Diggs back,
but like long term
Collins, like
when Tanks. So if they do re-sign Diggs and then Dell comes back, if he plays again, I don't know with these injuries, but I mean, what is the long term outlook with that? Because I mean, Collins is the one, so. I have it at goodish, but I could honestly talk myself into badass.
I could clearly see them going after wide receiver, especially with Tank Dell's injury. Whether or not they bring Diggs back, I think they still go for it, and I still think it's badass.
I think they like the problem with this team actually is that they need more receivers. Like the fact that they themselves view their wide receiver room, which I like Mechie, we all like Mechie, hasn't really shown enough. Xavier Hutchinson, favorite of the fantasy community, hasn't shown enough. They went out and got Deontay Johnson. We'll see how that goes. I don't believe that's going to go well. And then Robert Woods is, he's on hospice right now in fantasy.
It's wild that he only played like 35% of the snaps last week because why?
Yeah. Why? I just think this team could support potentially 3 wide receivers. I just don't know who those 3 are going to be. And if they got a guy, I think it'd be goodish. Again, Tank Dell's injury was so brutal, I don't know if he's even going to play next year. Like, it's pretty bad. But wouldn't shock me if he also sneaks back week 9 and we, potentially league winner there because you don't have him at the beginning. So, weird one. Sad one, weird one. All right, let's go on to Kansas City. We say the same things every year, I don't know. I don't know if we do it again or not.
The only thing I would say that it should be high up there is because Marquise Brown and Hopkins are both free agents after this year. So it is literally.
And Juju and Hardman and Watson.
Yeah. So it's literally.
And I mean, how much longer for Travis Kelce?
Yeah. I think we got to go badass because anyone to be paired with Patrick Mahomes and potentially be the next Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, not even saying a Tyreek Hill, but just getting the target share that those 2 guys got. And it's not worthy. Like, he's fine.
Yeah, he's good, but it's a slot receiver type thing. He's like a Zay Flowers situation, I think.
I had this at mid.
Okay.
My reasoning was Patrick Mahomes. I mean, Rice is going to be there for a long time. You got Worthy, who
Rice is going to be suspended next year, more than likely. So you got that's true. Where my brain's at. You got Worthy pretty much as the only wide receiver for at least a good chunk of next year. There's got to be someone else. More than likely, it's a veteran, but if they were to go out and get a
fuck it, let's go badass.
I feel like it's badass.
Do they not bring Hollywood back? Maybe
they should. I mean, he looks pretty solid on this.
I mean, I guess we'll see what happens during the playoff run. That'll kind of determine it, you'd think. But it's not like he's old. I mean, he's like, 27?
27, yeah.
So, I mean, that's not a bad thing to have on your team, possibly. And then they draft another guy in there.
I think it's badass without Hollywood. It's goodish goodish with Hollywood.
Let's go goodish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
Let's go goodish.
Because even they drafted a wide receiver in the first round last year. He's unusable for fantasy for the most part.
I mean,
except on deep teams.
You're lying.
So even if they got a guy, that doesn't necessarily mean he's even going to be that good. All right. On to the Dallas Cowboys. I think this is a badass location for a wide receiver.
Super duper badass.
Yeah, they have to do it. They're gonna go running back and then wide receiver in the second round. Like, they need this team to be the 91 Dallas Cowboys again, and they got to go get their Michael Irving.
Yeah, well, I mean, they have CeeDee Lamb, but they need a guy next to another guy than CeeDee Lamb because Tolbert is good in spots. Brandon Cooks, I think it's over. It might finally be over for Brandon Cooks.
It's been fun.
I think Flournoy, if he got more run, would probably be good. But
he actually looks good, but that's
the dream might be dead there, which is sad. And then Kevontae Turpin is just going to be out there doing goofball stuff. I don't know how else to describe what Kevontae Turpin does. Seriously, like, what is his position out there? They say he's wide receiver, but he's just out there just like a kid in a ball pit, just jumping around everywhere, just making a loud noises. Like, that's all I see.
And you're running real fast.
Kid in the ball pit.
Yep, that's the
kid in the ball pit Turpin.
And then they have Jonathan Mingo, which, I mean, might be one of the weirdest trades I have ever seen in real life football. Like, it does not make any sense that happened.
The AJ Brown was pretty bad too.
That was, I mean, at least we knew what they were doing, and it just failed miserably. But like, why did you even get Mingo? You had no intention of even playing him. Like, I just don't. Why did we even get him on the team? It made any sense.
It seemed like 2 catches for that guy.
All right, next one is the Los Angeles Chargers. I'd be willing to say goodish to badass. What do you guys
give me badass for this one? He's really good. The thing I like about this team is that Greg Roman is letting Justin Herbert sling the ball, which is very cool. I did not think that was going to happen. So I think Ladd ultimately operates best as your number 2. And if you can get a established number 1 receiver in there, absolutely badass.
I look at this more as a 1A, 1B type thing, right? Like Cooper Kupp, Puka, rookie year Puka.
Well, it's more like the Brady years, right? When he had like Wes Welker, Danny Amendola, and then had like Deion Branch or somebody on the outside.
Randy Moss for a year or 2.
Or the Randy Moss year, something like that. I think that would be the ideal situation, and they've tried to do it with Quentin Johnston, but that guy just cannot catch the ball.
He started the season so hot too. And I was like, oh shit, he's got it. He's actually a good wide receiver. And then it's just kind of like fell off a hill. Palmer's been fine, but I think that experiment's over. He might even be done with his contract. I'm not sure. But yeah, no, there's another wide receiver needed on this team, and I think everyone knows it.
Yeah. Palmer's good, but he's more of like if a guy gets injured and you need somebody to come in and play a rotation spot. And then same with Darius Davis. Like, he's a killer returner, and he can catch some stuff, but end of the day, they need a wide receiver. So, yeah, badass Chargers. Next one, New York Jets. Woof. This might have been a question mark team, too.
This is a question mark team. So much can change on this team.
Yeah, because there's either Devontae Adams comes back or him and Aaron Rodgers both gone same time. I don't know.
Or Garrett Wilson. I mean, this could be a brand new.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson also wants out. If Aaron Rodgers comes back, Garrett Wilson wants out. So
I feel like they're in the same situation that the 49ers were in last year, which probably means they're going to overdraft a wide receiver. And then
I don't think there's a worse team over the last 20 years than the New York Jets. Like, other teams have had bad stretches. Even the Browns have had terrible stretches.
It's probably 10 years because the Jets with Rex Ryan was kind of fun into the 2000s,
playoffs and stuff at the
2010s. 2 AFC championships with Mark Sanchez of all people. But your larger point, this team is just not it, and we think it's something every year.
I just want to put him at mid, just to put him in the middle, or maybe bad-ish.
I think mid is probably right.
Because
Garrett Wilson or Devontae Adams isn't going to be there, and they're going to need another wide receiver because Malachi Corley is nothing. If Rodgers is gone, Alan Lazard's gone too. Like, there's so many people leaving this team if Aaron Rodgers leaves. They probably got to start from scratch with just Garrett Wilson. Okay. That's yikes. All right, on to the Panthers.
God, who would have thought that I'm excited to talk about the Carolina Panthers?
Yeah, the Carolina Panthers presents an interesting situation because I don't know truly with this one. I'm probably going goodish if I had to throw mine out.
I'm going goodish as well, mainly just because they need a wide receiver. Someone's got to replace Thielen, and it's just like it's legit.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, Xavier legit.
I don't know. Xavier sort of legit. But at the moment, this team is going to go after a receiver. They got to spruce up Bryce Young's team, get him an offensive lineman, get him a receiver. Bryce is slinging the ball right now. I'm loving it. So I feel like Goodish is perfect for him. Joe,
I had him as badass because you're getting this weird second rookie season out of Bryce. So I think you bring in somebody that's actually legit. I know Thielen's been good. He's old. Legette's fine as a number 2. Bring in an alpha, give him to Bryce, see what happens.
You know what? You convinced me. We're going to put Panthers as badass because they need a number 1, like a legit number 1. This could be another cool Travis Hunter spot.
Yeah, not
That'd
wrong
be
there.
sweet.
All right, on to the Tennessee Titans. They have Westbrook-Akine as the 1, Calvin Ridley as the 2. They need a quarterback desperately, but I don't even know how they're going to do that. I don't even know how they're going to get the quarterback.
Put Pete Eddy. They haven't had a wide receiver hit in the draft in forever. Last since AJ, and then they traded him.
True.
I had this as badass. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay, please. Let's hear the.
Who's
let's
the
hear
quarterback next year?
Whoever it is, man. I don't know. Westbrook-Akine has been usable. He sucks. He's not a good wide receiver. So
if they ran it back with Will Levis, you're saying it doesn't matter who it is. If they ran it back with Will Levis again,
no, it's fine. Throw it in. We're talking dynasty, dude. Will Levis is not going to be there long term.
Right,
okay,
Billy, you get to decide because I'm not putting him in badass.
I love this, Joe. I love your take. I'm gonna go badish.
This is an offensive player going into a situation with an insane amount of offensive opportunities.
This does have Luther Burden written all over it, so if he does go there, it's hard to say.
Luther and Ridley would be pretty mean.
Yeah.
And Akine, the 1. And then Chick also.
All right, I'm gonna put it at mid. How about that? We'll compromise between me and Joe.
But here's the thing: whatever wide receiver goes here, I'm gonna audibly be like, "Damn!" Like during the draft, whenever I see that next to their name, I'm just like, "Damn, I like that
and the
guy."
Tennessee Titans select. God damn it.
Yeah, it's like Luther Burden. Damn. Okay. All right. On to the Colts.
Indy's dead.
Probably dead. I would be dead here.
I mean, is it because Richardson sucks?
That's part of it. Yeah. I also think they just like the Josh Downs, Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, whoever other random other person. AD Mitchell's there.
Mitchell too. That's fair. Yeah, no, it's dead. I mean, I'm dead because
none of these people are succeeding currently, so I don't know who you add to make them successful, you know?
Neither of you guys replied to me earlier, but I think Richardson's not long for this world anymore. He's got a disc issue and couldn't stand up the other day.
Crazy.
He's built like a god. Everybody had, even Achilles, man. He had a heel. That was the problem with him.
This guy's got a back, a knee.
With him, it could be his back. It could be a back thing with Anthony Richardson. Yep. All right, last team that we have for this season going into the draft, their needs at wide receiver, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Goodish.
Billy?
I was thinking mid because I like Brian Thomas as the 1. So I don't really think, they need to add any wide receivers to this team, but I don't know.
That's where you're wrong. All right, so I'm splitting the difference here because we're all on different pages. I actually think that this is badass because yes, Brian Thomas is great, but he's the slot guy. Like he's the guy who's going to be making all the plays.
He is not the slot guy.
Yes,
he's not a slot guy.
Brian
Thomas Jr. is not a slot guy.
He runs slot-like routes. Let's calm down.
Parker Washington has been the slot guy on this team.
Parker Washington is a B-list player. They're going to go out and draft a wide receiver because they have to make this Trevor Lawrence thing work. And they're going to go out and draft a badass wide receiver for this team. And it's going to be him and BT. And I assume 1A, 1B. Don't give a shit who it is. Both get 1,000 yards next year.
Damn.
This team has to be good.
And so do they just get rid of Christian Kirk? Just cut him?
Sure.
Well, they're going to have to make a decision going.
Sure. Okay.
Going into 26, they're going to, Kirk is up and Ingram is up for new contracts. So, yeah, those two could honestly be gone. especially with Ingram's age.
Dude,
So,
can you
I think it'd be
imagine
good.
this team with Luther Burden? You have Brian Thomas on the outside, you have Christian Kirk on the other side, and then Luther Burden in the slot with Evan Ingram as the tight end. That would be nasty wide receiver core right there. Now it's Trevor Lawrence, so we're parking those 3 great cars in a shit garage, but it would be sick to see him out there on the field at the same time.
It would be sick.
I'm convinced that Trevor Lawrence isn't even injured. They're just resting him. Like, I think he just didn't even want to play. Yeah.
I can't believe they.
Sean Conn was like, no.
I kind of forgot Christian Kirk was even on this team, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, but you don't want to know why? It's because he's
Doug Peterson hasn't been fired. Like, this whole thing doesn't make sense.
So the funniest thing is Doug Peterson gets fired when he doesn't deserve it, and now he won't get fired when he does deserve it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know what to tell you guys. But Christian Kirk literally came from Arizona, had the best season of his career, and then has done almost absolutely nothing since. So, no, Kirk's not worrisome to me. That's a wide receiver 3. That's a Robert Woods type player who's going to linger around but not really be the dude.
Woods.
Sorry. I mean, I like Robert Woods, but, he is what he is.
Man, I like Christian Kirk. I mean, I don't think he's going to win you a league, but...
What does Robert Woods and Christian Kirk have in common? You're never like, man, I'm really glad I drafted that guy.
I mean, that's
you were last year.
There's a couple of those guys.
I did like Christian Kirk last year, but actually last year wasn't even a good year for him. He had 700 yards.
It's fair.
Yeah. I mean, that is completely fair.
He did miss the back half of the season, to be fair. So
he did. And this year, he was trending towards Brian Robinson just straight up taking his lunch money anyway. So
Brian Thomas, you mean?
Yeah, Brian Thomas taking his lunch money anyway. So, I mean, yeah, I guess you're right about that. Okay, well, that is the tier list right there. Let's just recap the badass tier. We don't have to start the whole thing. Okay, Josh just took it off the screen, so Josh can do it.
Sorry, I was downloading it, and I realized I should take it off, but I will read through it.
No, you're good.
Let's go through the badass
Just
tier.
do like the badass to goodish tier. These are the teams that if they draft a wide receiver in this draft upcoming,
are you gonna let me do it?
We are excited for the outlook. I'm just doing the lead up.
Stop talking. I'm just messing with you guys. Sorry, I had to do it. Little dead air just to piss off Billy. Happy to do it. So anyway, badass tier. Denver Broncos, Las Vegas Raiders, Washington Commies, the New England Patriots, Dallas Cowboys, Los Angeles Chargers, and Carolina Panthers. All of those teams, if a wide receiver goes there, especially early on, pretty much know there's going to be an immediate impact, honestly. Goodish tier, this is various reasons. There are a lot of crazy things could happen here. But New Orleans Saints, Pittsburgh Steelers, Buffalo Bills, Houston Texans, Kansas City Chiefs, and Jacksonville Jaguars. And a lot of these people, one of us had said we want them in the badass tier for various reasons, but weird quarterbacks in most of these places, a couple badass quarterbacks who might have a little bit too many people to throw to already, but more than likely a wide receiver goes here, they're pretty much going to be in your, starting lineup. And then the lower tiers, the rest of the teams, there's a lot of good teams that are just straight question marks for everything. You never know what the Bucs are going to do. Are they going to keep Godwin? Are they not? The Browns, we don't even want to talk about them. Sad that I even brought them up. The Ravens, who knows if they can ever actually have an elite wide receiver one. And the Bengals are in badish because we don't know what's happening with T. Higgins. So, man, I love these games because I love how we're always so way off from each other.
It's definitely interesting.
This one was tamer than normal.
I mean, I don't know about that.
I think it's because it feels a little bit like normally we don't know and we're like completely way off from each other. But I think we weren't as way off as we normally are. I think we were within range of each other. I think we all kind of.
There was a couple that we were completely off on, but that's fine. Like Joe, who did he say? To the Titans as badass, and I had him at P. Diddy.
Titans are badass, dude.
Yeah, I don't know about all that.
All right. It's hard for me to say.
Yeah. All right. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. We appreciate it. That is the running back tiers. We are going to do we did wide receivers. We're going to do running backs next week to let everyone know where a running back, landing spots. We're going to find the good ones and the bad ones. There is a lot more bad ones than I thought, but I know that there's a lot of running backs coming out in this class. So it's going to be an interesting log jam here with some of these running back spots and locations to where I think we're going to have some spirited discussions next week. I think I can confidently say that.
100%.
Running backs are going to be a little bit more contentious, I think, than wide receivers were, because there's 3 wide receivers on a team. Running backs, there's maybe 2. So we're going to be talking about some teams potentially beating out other teams, and that's going to leave some anger.
And there's some teams that are going to end up with a second running back that we're, either not so fond of, or maybe we're like, maybe this is what they need.
I think we need to factor that in, by the way. We've always been kind of doing this of like who's got a chance to be the 1 on this team.
Yeah.
I think we should do it this year of like who's a 2 that could disrupt the 1. I think we should add that as part of the like maybe that's the tier 3 or tier 2 option of like this is a spot.
We can do however many tiers we want. We can do like 25 tiers.
Yeah, and we'll do a question mark tier for I have no clue. Like if the Dolphins took a running back, no clue.
At this point, they're keeping Mostert 2. They're getting a 4th running back.
It's good with a chain. It's bad with Jalen. I can't even remember his name.
Right.
Warren.
I wanted to say Warren. You saw me thinking about it. But yeah. Okay. Well, with that being said, thank you for tuning in Offensive Points. Joe, get us out of here.
Good night.
Happy New Year's, folks.
Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.